Enough with all the negative thoughts, enough with the negative people. This week on Motivation and Confidence, we're going to talk about what you do to stay happy. Stay tuned. All right, everybody worldwide, you're now tuned into Motivation and Confidence, where we help you do your daily best. And I'm your host, Tom Danger. Back this week with a new episode. And I figured that this week, we're going to switch things up a bit. Before we go any further, please like, subscribe, share. Definitely appreciate you tuning in. But I want to switch it up. Subject matter, we help you do your daily best. And usually we're talking about coming out of that state of being frustrated or in pain or unmotivated or uninspired. But today, let's focus on what makes you happy. And really think about that for a second. What makes you happy? I think sometimes we focus on, naturally, we focus on the negative more than what we do the positive. We focus on why we're in so much pain as opposed to focusing on why we're happy or what makes us happy. A very, very simple thing that I'm pretty sure all of us can relate to is comfort food. Right? And when you think about your favorite comfort food, right? How does it make you feel? Comfort, warm, soothing, relaxed, happy, right? It releases those dopamines, that pleasure drug. It gets you going, right? One of my favorite comfort meals used to be chili. And I talk about this in the book, Building Up Your Confidence. If you'd like to grab a copy, shoot me an email. I will send you a complimentary electronic version so you can check it out. But I talk about chili. And I remember growing up as a kid, having a really, really rough day at school, and just coming through the door and smelling the seasonings and the ground beef, and just seeing my mom chop things up to put into this chili. And when I would sit down to eat it, it was always in a glass bowl or in a bowl with a little shredded cheese on top, rice at the bottom, and served with a spoon. And it was like no matter what was going on during the day, no matter how bad things were, when I got that bowl of chili in front of me, it definitely took me to my happy place. So I'm curious to hear from you guys, and I would like to hear about it in the comments or email, because I know some of you don't really care to leave things in the comments, but email me because I'm curious to know. Tommy Danger, TOMMYDANGER at gmail.com. I was going to say, if you also feel more comfortable going to the website, you can go to tomdanger.com, TOMDANGER.com. And in the contact section, you can shoot me an email. But what foods or what items brought you happiness? And again, food is something that a lot of us share. It's easily accessible and what we can do to automatically ease ourselves, right? But we're talking about when you are in that space of glee, or some people call bliss. What are you doing? What makes you feel that happiness? And how long do you keep yourself in that space? So just to share with you guys, for those of you who follow me on Instagram, you know, I have this section called Freestyle Fridays where I'm rapping, right? And rapping for me, even as I talk about it, I automatically smile because I just love hip hop so much, and I, just love being a part of the culture and looking at what's going on with hip hop and how it's evolving, and to be able to sort of be a connoisseur or historian and sharing certain insights of how certain styles and trends have come to repeat themselves, and to be authentic and build a fan base. Because at one time I was concerned that it would sort of throw the audiences off between the podcasts and the music. But it's like going to the store. You have a choice, right? You come to the podcast, you want to get uplifted and motivated. And when you go over to Instagram, you're going to get some motivation, but you're going to get entertained at the same time. For those of you who listen to the podcast, it may be a little bit entertaining to you. You probably don't take me serious, but I'm very serious when I do the podcast, right? But it's just something about the music. We're talking traditional hip hop here, right? So we're talking about the elements. We're talking about graffiti. We're talking about breakdancing. We're talking about rapping. We're talking about DJing. And I'm forgetting one thing, so forgive me. But we're talking about hip hop in its purest form, like how much I just love that and love being part of that culture, to the point to where, I write every day and I get lost in writing. From the time that I wake up, and I've talked about this before, and I encourage a lot of you to do it, is journal, right? It's a way to self-reflect on the good and bad, and also it gives you some sort of data to look back and see where you were in a particular time in your life and what you were going through, as well as, to point out, like when you may be going through something again, it's like, wait, I've been through this before. What did I do to get through this? And you can look back at your journal and do that, right? But we're talking about what you do to stay happy and what do you do to sustain it. Another thing that I like to share is going for walks. It is that peaceful time of being alone, because I'm a huge introvert. And for the introverts that are out there, I'm curious to know, what do you guys do? How are you spending your time, and what does your happiness look like? One thing that we can agree on is that happiness cannot be bought. So we can get the shiny new toy, we can get the job or start the company that brings us a certain amount of money. And while the money may temporarily bring you happiness, it's not the pure happiness that sits within you. And I'm curious to know whether or not you disagree with it, because I know people who are struggling, they'll say, that's easy for you to say, Tom. That's easy for you to say. You must have money. You're not the person that's laid off or unemployed. I look at my grandmother, who is paralyzed, left side of her body, triple bypass surgery, pretty much blind in both eyes, can barely feed herself with the one hand that she has. We pretty much have to feed her. And it's rough some days. It's really rough for her some days. And she always talks about her faith in having to keep pushing. And I really look at her and I say to myself, what do I have to complain about? So there's no amount of money that I could give my grandmother that's going to make her walk again. There is, it's just at that point, even with the way technology is, she would be assisted. It would be some sort of mechanics. It would be some sort of chair or something like that. And that's not where her happiness lies. The happiness lies within her ability to get up each day and have another chance. And sometimes we take for granted life itself and just being able to open our eyes. With all that's going on in the world and the madness and everything else, like you don't know whether or not you're going to catch something or just random what's going on. So where does your happiness truly lie? Have you ever considered what you give instead of what you get? How much are you giving to other people without asking for anything in return? How much are you giving on a daily basis? And when you do give, how does that make you feel? It could be something as simple as a compliment. You don't always have to give money. You don't necessarily have to give time. You don't have to give blood, sweat, and tears, even though a lot of us do. But it could be a simple compliment that you give another person to make that other person feel good. So then it's sort of like a contagious energy. You give what you get, right? So you're giving out happiness and good vibes, and the good vibes come back to you. Now, that's not to say that you're not going to have crappy moments. That's not to say like you're not going to have nasty people. You will. It's a part of life. But how you balance it all is what really matters. So some people may ask me like, well, what does your day look like? How are you always so happy? I'm not always happy. There are plenty of moments when I just have these outbursts of four-letter words and cussing and swinging in the air. You know that scene from Boys in the Hood when what's his name comes back in the house after he couldn't ride in the car and his homie got shot. He's just swinging in the air. Like, I be doing that sometimes. I be just be like frustrated, swinging, but I got to get it out of my system. Don't hold on to the frustration and the anger, because all it does is grow. Now you're taking room away from your happiness because you're focusing your energy on being angry. And we give negative people, negative thoughts, too much energy. It takes too much work. It's like doing pull-ups. For those of you who exercise, right? How hard is it to do a push-up versus a pull-up? And if you're not used to doing pull-ups, that pull weight is a heck of a lot harder than doing the push weight from the floor. So I like to look at the push-up is happiness, and that goddamn negative thought is that pull-up when you're hitting that bar for the first time. It takes so much energy, so much, like you're just pulling so hard, as opposed to just relaxing and being happy. This is Motivation and Confidence, where we help you do your daily best.